Once again, welcome back to Bricks at War. Today, we're going to take a look at my Lego World War II Army Air Force Base. Thanks again for joining us here at Bricks at War. We're taking a look today at my latest mock. It's a U.S. Army Air Force Base circa World War II. This one's based in the United Kingdom, and it houses the 918th Bombardment Group stationed in the United Kingdom. Now, this is a fictional bombardment group, and it's based on the TV show 12 O'Clock High. We're going to take a tour today, and we've got lots to show you. We've got over 11 different structures, multiple vehicles, and 5 beautiful B-17s to take a look at. So let's go ahead and get started with the tour now. So we're going to start the tour down here at the Flight Control Tower. The Flight Control Tower is where operations take place of controlling the aircraft's launch and viewing of the recovery of those aircraft as they return from their bombing run. It's got radio operators inside that can communicate with the bombers, and they can also shoot off flares to signal to the bombers when it's time to take off as they sit out on the taxiways once the bombers are all ready to go. As you can see, we've got a few vehicles around here that are waiting for the return of the current group, returning from their run into Germany. We've got a couple ambulances, medical personnel. We've got some commanders and air crewmen waiting the return of the current bombardment group. We've got some other vehicles sitting around here. And this is pretty much typically how you would have seen it back in World War II. So let's go ahead and move on to the rest of the tour. And we've got ourselves a crewman, or I'm sorry, we've actually got ourselves a mechanic out here. He's rolling down the runway with a spare tire, most likely to take it over to one of the aircraft that needs a replacement. Here's one of our bombers sitting here getting some repairs done to it. As you can see, it has an engine replacement taking place right now. It's sitting out on one of our 3 ready pads that we've got built for the bombers. Then we've got ourselves a little tractor here pulling some bombs down to one of the bombers to be loaded up so they can be taken on the next mission. Here's another one of our ready pads with another bomber sitting on there, another B-17 ready to go. Over here we've got a bicyclist. Now this particular bicyclist is being ridden by one of the grounds crewmen. He's got himself a little hot dog in there, and he's heading over to the hangar. This is a typical way that crew, pilots, as well as ground crewmen would have gotten around the bases. The bases were fairly large, and there wasn't enough personal vehicles, nor did they want to spend the fuel to have everybody have a personal vehicle to drive around. So they used a lot of bicycles out here to get around because the bases could be spread out quite a bit. So that's one of the reasons why you'll see a lot of bicycles on the layout. All right, we've got a control box tower here, camouflaged in its typical black and white checkered features. And right now, we're going to go ahead and move over to the operations area of the base. And heading into the operations area, we've got ourselves a Jeep with a couple crewmen and pilots heading back to the operations area to make a report. And over here, we've got looks like a general staff car. Apparently we've got some brass hanging out today and coming to talk to the base commander. So this is the area that we were able to fit into our build of the operations. Obviously at a real base, this would have expanded out quite a bit over a large area. I'm going to go ahead and we'll talk about the different buildings we've got here. So first off, we've got the actual operations building. This is where the base commander and flight operations would organize and get ready for the next bombing run. They would decide which routes they were going to take and plot those out and give waypoints to the pilots to fly to so that they can then join up with other bombers from other bases and head off to their bombing run over in Europe. Over here, we've got ourselves a couple of hangars. We've got a hangar from an existing building on the base prior to it being turned into a military base. And then we've got a Quonset hut hangar. So a lot of times bases would be built around an existing airfield, and that airfield would then be expanded out to handle the aircraft for which it was going to service. And then the U.S. would bring in Quonset huts and throw them up to expand out the serviceability of the base and give them extra housing and rooms to run their operations from. All right, we got a little path here, and as you can see, got the bombardment group sign. Got ourselves a Jeep heading back in from town. Looks like we got a couple MPs in the back of that, or driving that Jeep with a pilot in the back. He must have got himself into a little bit of trouble in town, and he's being returned to his commander here by the MPs. Let's go ahead and take a look at Quonset huts number 1 and 2. So as you can see, they're all labeled so you know which building you're going into. And these are just general Quonset huts being used for different items such as rest areas or areas where that pilots might be eating and so forth. All right, over here we have the hospital designated building. You can see it's got the hospital sign on it. And then we've got a couple officers heading on into the hospital to check out the injured pilots and crew that are currently in there and recovering. And then over here, we've got a pilot drinking some tea, having a conversation with a grounds crewman who's sitting there smoking a cigar and enjoying their afternoon. As you can see, we built kind of a camouflage effect into these buildings. There was 2 reasons for that. 1, I wanted to make kind of an interesting looking building. And 2, I knew I wasn't going to have enough olive green to do the buildings that I wanted to do in all olive green. And this helped me stretch that out some by throwing some additional colors in there and kind of creating a camouflage effect. I think it came out kind of nice for the first time I've tried that. So over here, we've got some storage. Jeep sitting here, taking some supplies out. We've got ourselves a doctor sitting over there coming out of the hospital. All right, we're going to take a look at our last 2 buildings over here in the operations area. One of them is a sleeping quarters for the pilots. That's where they would sleep and rest at night. And then over here next to that, we have the Officers Club. That's right, the Officers Club, where you can go grab a drink after you've been on your bombing run. You can go in there and relax and knock back a few with your friends. Got a tractor out here doing a little maintenance of the base, clearing out some brush. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look now at one of our B-17s. These are the Brickmania B-17s, and you can buy the instructions as well as sticker packs at brickmania.com. I think all in all, I was in for $20 for the instructions and another $10 or $15 for the sticker packs for each one of the bombers. The parts you need to build, for the most part, are pretty common parts. You might have them in your collection. I have a pretty large collection, so most of the parts I needed, I did have. There were some parts that I needed a couple hundred of, and I didn't have those in quantity, so I did have to order those. Not to mention that I did build 5 of B-17s, so I need to buy a few parts. But if you have a pretty large collection, you can most likely get away with not needing to order too many parts. As you can see, this B-17 is being readied for flight. We've got a flight crew out here speaking to one of the mechanics, along with a crewman loading up a grounds crewman loading up a bomb. Then over here, we've got the fuel truck and the fueler. He's putting some fuel on, or getting ready to put some fuel in this bird and get it ready to fly. And then we'll come back around this side and kind of take a quick look. Got a Jeep sitting over here with another grounds crewman. He's loading up 50 cal ammo into the back of the plane so that they have plenty of ammo for their run into Germany to try to keep those Messerschmitts off of them. Then we've got grounds crewman here just taking a look at the engines, making sure they're all tip-top shape and ready to go. A little bit of space between the different ready pads. We got some sheep hanging around here doing a little munching on the plants there, keeping that stuff all trimmed up. And then we're on to our next B-17. As you can see, it's got some ammo sitting outside it, waiting to be loaded inside. Not too much work being done to this bird. It's pretty much ready to go. All it needs is its crew and orders to fly. There's some more supplies hanging around. And then we're going to get to our third B-17. This one's in a little bit worse shape than all the other ones. As you can see, it's returned from its last mission. It's got some wing damage, some bullet holes. We've got an engine being replaced here by the grounds crewman trying to get this plane as ready as possible, as fast as possible. We've got another engine over here where the blades of propeller blades have been bent. Those are going to have to be fixed. Got more bullet holes in this particular wing. Then over here, we've got a grounds crewman. He's doing a little hammer work on the exterior skin of the aircraft, trying to bend some stuff back. He's got to patch some holes in this particular wing. As you can see, the rudder's been damaged as well, chewed up by some machine gun fire off of one of the Messerschmitts, along with some wing tip damage here. We're missing a part on the wing tip, as well as over here, we're missing a little bit of, got a little bit of damage over there as well. So as you can see, this aircraft needs a little bit of work to get it back in running shape for its next mission, and they're currently working on that right now. All right, now we're going to go over to our impromptu soccer game. We got a couple officers sitting here watching a soccer game take place as this crew sits and waits to take off. Apparently, their bombing run has been delayed due to weather over the target, and they're waiting for the launch order, so they're kicking around the soccer ball, playing a little soccer here in England. Over here is the mechanics hut. This is where the mechanics stay, and that puts them in close proximity to the hangar and the aircraft so that they have the ability to work on those and get those back up and running. We got our water tower here. Now this is a reused item from our last mock, the water tower. We just repurposed it, moved it to a different location on the base. Over here, we've got ourselves a poker game going on. So got some pilots playing some poker, once again, waiting for their orders to take off. Somebody's got aces high. Little radio playing some music. And then we've got ourselves a pilot, may have had himself a little bit too much to drink, and he's recovering right now with a little bit of a nap. We're going to move our way around to the primary entrance to the hangar here on the base. Get a good view across the base of all the different activity going on. So the rear of the hangar, we do have a access door here that slides open. I'll try to get a shot inside there for you, but probably not going to happen. Over here on this side of the hangar, we've got some plants and of course some animals kind of just walking around, some bunnies hanging out. But I needed a place to put my battery box, so I came up with this idea of building these this camouflaged compartment. If you take the top off, it gives you access to the battery box, and then you can turn on the lights to the hangar and just put that right back on there. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the hangar itself. And I'm going to pan the camera around a little bit here to get a little better view of it. All right, so first off, we got our Jeep here with a couple pilots heading over here to look at their aircraft and see what kind of condition it's in. Inside here, we've got a lot of work being done. We've got a mechanic over there doing a little welding on this particular plane. And we got a couple guys working on the front nose. Looks like the plexiglass nose cone has to be replaced. It was damaged in its last flight. And then down at this end, we've got a couple engines on this aircraft that need to be replaced as well. If you look back in the far back corner, I don't know if you can see it very well, but we've got a workshop built into this hangar. It's got some milling equipment and some other equipment in there so that they can fabricate or fix parts for the aircraft, and that's in the very back of the hangar. The hangar doors do move. They do open and close. It's a 3-panel system. So as you can see, this panel's will back out a little bit. So that's the back panel, and here's the second one. So they kind of slide out like that. We just make grooves in the ground to make that work right. It's a pretty good system, and I've been using it for years. So, all right, let's pan around here to our last B-17, number 5, and she's got a lot of work going on as well. We've got some grounds crewmen working on the plane. Got some 50 cal ammo being ready to be loaded in. Over here, we've got mechanic taking a look at this engine, making sure it's all good to go. And a bomb waiting to be loaded into the aircraft. Lucky Legs is the name of this particular plane. All the planes have different names. I really enjoy the way these planes look out on the runway. They're big. The wingspan on them is 38 inches long, and the length of the aircraft is a little over 24 inches. So they're pretty good size to give you an idea of what we're dealing with. We have over 100 square feet here of building space for this particular layout. So we've used pretty much every inch of it we could. I wish I was able to move it around a little bit and take it to some shows, but it's just too big to do that at this point. We sure hope you enjoyed today's video. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and of course, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, if you've got some suggestions for future mocks you'd like to see, let me know. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.